coffee vibes.
You don't get our shoes, right?
No.
Okay.
No. I like. I'll probably put my shoes back on at some point, and then I don't. But anyways.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to pray, or do you want to pray?
Oh, you pray, girl. You got this.
Okay, I'm nervous. So, Lord, can you come through? Because I'm nervous. I'm just kidding. All right. Father God, thank you, Lord. Thank you that you've brought us together after so many years, Lord. Thank you that you're here. And I just pray that whatever we talk about, it's for your glory. And I just pray that any nerves, anything that's going to come in between whatever it is that you want this podcast to be, Father, I just pray that it goes away now in Jesus' name. And I just pray that we have fun and this impacts someone somehow, some way. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Okay, so I'm ready now. Okay, so I'm really excited about this. Well, first of all, let's cheers. Coffee and Jesus.
Cheers.
If y'all don't know, Nook is the best coffee that I eat. Am I tripping? No, right?
No, I love it.
What other coffee place is as good as this?
I really like Combine Kitchen. It's on Foothill by like the Walmart and Salvation Army.
I've never had their coffee. I've only had their matcha.
Oh, their matcha's good. I'm not a big matcha person, but I do like theirs. But I like it there because it's rare when you get good coffee and food. Usually you have to go to two separate places for it.
This is true.
Their
avocado toast. I've had it. Have you had it?
Yeah.
Bomb. Yeah.
Everything there.
Nook's pastries, bomb. Yeah. Oh. So I don't know. I just like the whole Spanish latte is a vibe. Did you know there's condensed milk in there?
Mm-hmm. Girl, I'm a barista. Who are you talking to?
Oh yeah. Okay, you're a whole barista. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I obviously know you. Have known you for a long time, dude. Mm-hmm. Let's get some context. Let's build this up. So we met when you were.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, where's Jandro? Well, she can kind of reference it, but
no, literally.
I want to say I remember you like since middle school.
Your middle school.
My middle school. So you were probably what, like a freshman? Because when I was a freshman, you guys were seniors.
No,
but we've knew each other, or is it way? Am I way off?
No, you think you were in elementary because Britt and I were like BFFs in like 6th, 7th, 8th.
Wait, pause. You want to know something hilarious?
What?
So I forgot to send it to you.
What?
When we were going through like pictures for my Nana services, we saw. I think I still have it, but it was a huge letter you wrote her, and you were like, Brittany,
dude,
and it's a picture of you guys like. Yeah, and it was
like the duck face. I don't know where we got that from. And she'd call me la Ashley.
Yeah, she's like, why? I'm like,
so extra for no reason.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
So I think that was like middle school. So you were in elementary school, but yeah.
Oh, so yeah, because your guys is middle school. So yeah, then I think you're right. Yeah.
So I was like 12, 13, and you must have been. How old are you now?
26.
26, 29. So yeah, you're only 4 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. Feels like a lot more. Anyways, it's been a long time. And so when I grew up with you guys, I was not Christian at all. But you guys were. And I don't know. I just felt like, I could bring Brittany on here too, but it's just like for whatever reason, I follow you're more active on social media. Right. That's really what it is. And so over the years, I've seen your guys' testimony. I lived part of the testimony. I got to see it with Anthony.
Yeah.
And then just your family in general has a lot of medical testimonies. And you guys planted a lot of seeds, which I talked about in my other podcast episode with my friend Lily, that you guys had a huge impact. And it wasn't until me looking back now where I'm like, dang, So I want to start from the beginning though, because I don't even really know a lot of things. And so I like to give people context of like the genesis of like how you grew up and what impact that had on you.
Right.
So what's your name? And did you always have Jesus in your life?
My name is Dani, and yes, my parents got saved when I was 6. So I was...
Wait, really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So they weren't Christian.
They were Catholic.
What? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I want to say, I don't remember if I was baptized as a Catholic, but I know my sisters were at some point.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. And then I was born, and then they told my parents, you know, she's so ill, take her home, love on her. And if she makes it through a year, she's going to have heart surgery. But I wasn't strong enough for it at the time. So they took me home, and in the Landings was their first like home that they brought me home in. And a few doors down, there was our pastor. And, you know, like most churches, they start in a home, and they had a sign outside their door, like, welcome to Crossroads Community Church. And my mom was like, I felt so helpless that I just didn't know. I was just, I'm just going to go. And so she went, and that's kind of how that started. And it's crazy because they bought me like this little stuffed animal Lammy. Well, I named it Lammy, and it's a lamb. Very original, right? So, after I had my first heart surgery, and I still have it.
Wait, I think I remember.
Yes, and it makes music. Yeah, and I still sleep with it every night.
So the pastors gifted?
They gave that to me when I survived my first surgery. And then I had another one like the following year.
So you grew up, you were 6.
No, I was sick.
Oh, sick.
Just sick. Yeah.
I was 6.
No. When I was sick, I was born with it. Yeah. So then, my parents went next door, and that's how that journey started for them.
So you grew up just knowing Christianity.
Right. That's all I have ever really known. And yeah.
So your siblings, though, before Anthony, they also had health, or did anybody else in your family have health?
I was the first one to get sick, and then Brittany was in kindergarten, and that's when she was diagnosed with kidney cancer.
Wow.
Yeah, and my mom said it started just based off, like, she just said her stomach hurt, and then she had a fever, and then she took her to the doctors. They took her to the ER, and then they said she had cancer. They had to remove one of her kidneys. She went through chemo, lost all her hair for like 6 months, and she's been cancer-free ever since, though.
I think what like impacts me so much about your guys' family is like y'all have had so many opportunities to be like, God's not real. Like, God's not, where's God? Like, God's not in this. But it's literally the opposite. It's the opposite. Especially the most recent. We'll get there. Like the most recent incident, I was like, dude, like.
I will say though that specific one, it is where I was kind of like, yo, God, like what's going on?
Yeah,
like, how are we here again? So, but yeah, so it went me, Brittany, and then Anthony.
Which is that's where I really got to
feel it and live it, because I mean, you remember our home, and we lost our home. My parents lost their jobs. It was in 2008 when he was born. He couldn't come home. Like, all of his waiting was done in the hospital. I remember he came home like on Valentine's Day, and he went back on my birthday, because mine's the 21st.
I remember that.
And I remember my Anthony's Nino, Moses. You remember Moses? It was like, and his wife, we were all in the waiting room, and they sang me happy birthday in the NICU waiting room, because like I was so young, like I had to go with them. Yeah, you know, and it was really
was I'm it's like a bittersweet be able to like think about that time, because I remember like we kind of just transitioned into being a house that was so lively all the time. Like we would always, everybody was always there.
You're so happy.
Your mom was like pregnant. Like it was just the house to be at. I was telling my boyfriend thing earlier.
We'll get into that.
We can talk about that another time.
We'll get into that later.
So I was telling him like who I was gonna have on. I was like, no, like you have to understand, like they would have family dinners. They would like have family game nights. Like,
oh my gosh, yes.
Like it was just things that I was like, what is this? Because I didn't grow up with that. And I remember thinking like, this is like super cool, and it's kind of like weird, but I like it. And so I remember that was really like the theme. And then that whole thing with Anthony happened.
And I really don't think people realize everything that went into that. Like, it wasn't even just Anthony being sick. Like, I'm like, I don't want to cry. I'm like, my parents, like, looking back now, I just have a whole new appreciation for them, because especially now that I was like experiencing care of my mom and all that, which we can get into later. But Anthony specifically, during that time, like, they lost their home. And just to be transparent, you know, we had a trailer, we had a boat, we had quads, we had a golf cart, we had like a beautiful home from the ground up, was brand new, and like lost everything. Like, my dad lost his truck. And like, I just think about that now, and I can't imagine, like, none of that was handed to them. Like, they've worked very, very hard. My mom had her own business there. She had her daycare, and like
the daycare.
And I'm like, and like that, it was gone. And I just can't. And you know, I don't know what's crazy. My mom, like, I like was kind of retouching like all these things with her when I told you wanted me to come on, and she was like, and on top of that, your stupid little dog, we had Cubby and Lola, the little beagles, got out, bit the neighbor's dog's ear off, got sued. My mom was like, great. Like, of course, my kid's dying. We lost our home, lost my business. My husband lost his job. We lost everything we had. And we're getting sued. Like, it was just like so much. And I just look at my parents, and they've never, I think they just instilled in us to just never have the victim mentality. Like, you're allowed to feel those feelings, like, as far as like being frustrated and upset, like we're human, but to just not sit in it. And Velia actually has told me too, she was like, I remember like before your mom made the decision to close the daycare, because MJ went there. And she was like, I remember I was, because she was like, it was so hard for her to have like someone else watch her kid. And she was like, I remember I was like crying to your mom. Mind you, she was like, she lost everything. Like, she was just kind of the final days were coming of being in the home. And she was like, and she was comforting me, like, just to drop my kid off. And I just think of things like that, like hearing what they have to say about my family just makes me so proud and so happy that I'm like, even in like our worst times, they were still impacting other people, and you just don't really realize it until later. And I remember when she told me that, because she told me that when my mom recently got sick, you know, like, your mom has just made such an impact on me. And like, and when she told me that, I was just like,
yeah, dude. I mean, like, I'm kind of just now having the realization too, like 2008 was just really, 2007, 8, like for us, was really hard too. Just the whole economy thing that was happening. We were young, so we didn't fully understand, but we felt the repercussions of it. But now looking back, you're like, dang, my parents went through it. I can't. My parents went through bankruptcy.
Oh, mine too. Yeah.
Do you remember my dad had that coffee shop? Cuppies?
Oh, yes. And
it was like literally opened and closed same year, because it was dirt. Oh, I get like emotional with that too. My dad, sorry to air out the whole thing, but I think it's important. But
sorry,
like,
Dad.
like
I already told my family no one is safe. Everyone,
sorry y'all. Sorry y'all.
We are.
It is what it is. There's freedom in our truth. Okay?
Well, I told them too. I'm like, Mom, stop being selfish. Write a book. Retire us all. We're tired.
You're holding back. Okay? Yeah. No, but for real, like I remember one time it was like 3 a.m., dude, and this is like something that I still get emotional about. It was like 3 a.m. and I see my dad like looking outside the window, like in the loft area, and like you just see like the car getting towed. And I remember like asking my dad, like, what happened? He's like, oh, they're just gonna fix it. But obviously, like that wasn't happening. And just like the defeat that I saw in my dad, you know, like, and like you said, you know that they worked so hard for all those things, and then for it to just be taken away. I didn't really fully understand it till now. Like, dang, that must have just, wow. But as you were saying, like everything you're saying, I'm thinking like, I think what impacted me so much about being around your family during that time is that I never wanted to be home, because we were going, obviously not through the same situation, but just hardships. But at home, I love you, mom and dad. You know, it's you guys did the best that you could, but like it wasn't a Christian home. So like the how to handle it was the opposite of faith, right? The opposite of love, the opposite of giving it to God, right? It was just something I didn't want to be a part of, and I would run away a lot to go to your house or Jake and John Paul's house.
Oh my god!
Shout out to the twins,
yes, Martinez family. Oh my god!
I lived in Hunter's Ridge, okay.
No, you really did.
I did. Gabe Kiner's Josh before he moved out to Heritage, you know. So
oh my god, you're right.
I just remember running away, and so I think God was so gracious in like allowing me to see the difference of there's still suffering in both places
for sure.
It's not that you guys weren't happy and like, oh, we got this. It was like, let's suffer, let's be in the pain. But we're gonna have faith. And you guys would have people come over and pray. I remember like, what is going on? Like,
I think a big misconception with like Christianity is like that it's all rainbows and butterflies once you like commit your life to God, and like that's just not true. And well, let me tell you, it's not true.
Yeah, it's not.
But also, I will say that, you know, people have told us, I think, or even just me specifically, like, you're just so numb to trauma. And I don't feel that way. I think when I think of numb, I think of like, okay, you have no feelings, you're cold, heartless. That's what I think is numb. Yeah. For me, I'm like, no, like I feel everything and deeply, but there's just like a sense of calmness that like overpours you, or I don't even know.
The peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yeah, that once you just like cast all your worries to him, like it's just, it's indescribable feeling. And it's like, if you know, you know. Like, and not even just that, but just even the joy you feel once that, you know, surpasses with time or whatever. And like, if you would have asked me like back then, if I would have the life I have now, like I get so emotional because I'm like, the life I live, the family I have, the house I live in now, like, you know, I'm in a great neighborhood. I have a great job. You know, my family's one here. That alone is like more than I could have ever imagined my life to be.
Together.
Like, yeah. And it's like, like I was just saying, you know, it's a big misconception of that it's just all rainbows and butterflies. And it's like, that is not the case. You know, there's a lot of things. And I think it also stems from social media. You know, I am very open and I post my family a lot. But I also think I'm very honest when we are going through it. Yeah. I don't share every detail, of course, but it's not. But at the same time, we are a united family. And to me, I think everyone's rooting for that, right? Yeah. Typically. You want a united family, a strong like foundation until someone else has it. Yeah. Because a lot of people like come at us like, it's fake. There's no way it's real. And I'm like, I don't get it. It's
like you spend a night at the Rivas family.
I'm like, what do we gain out of that? Yeah. like, you know, and we are honest when, you know, things are rough. Yeah. You know, and I was so young when my parents were going through it in 2008 that I'm sure they had marriage issues. Yeah. Who wouldn't? Yeah, yeah. You know, you're losing everything. Your kid is dying. Like, we were doing who knows what at our house because that's another thing too. It didn't help
that we were
so young. And again, another thing that goes into, you know, Anthony's testimony is the sisters. We were home alone for months. Dude, oh my God, and that's when my nana would really take care of us. And like, and of course I love her and I'm so thankful for her. And I even spoke about that at her funeral because I'm like, that was such a hard time in my life that I'll never forget. And I just was thankful that she was there, even if it was just being there. Mm-hmm. There's nothing anyone can say or do that's going to make it better, but it was months at a time. My parents basically lived there at the hospital.
And then all the friends would live there.
No, literally, I'm like, I remember like it was like Jake, John Paul, Gabe, Josh, Ashley, Alyssa, the other Alyssa. Like, I'm like,
But, and it's like crazy because we didn't really fully understand like what was happening.
Yeah.
We just knew like something was going down, but like when you're at that age, like you're just like there and you're just like, oh well, Home Alone, you know? And
yay.
but then like I just remember there was times where you'd be crying, dude. I remember I know it was around your birthday. I think it was when he went back, right?
Yeah.
That night where he went back, it's all like kind of like a blur, but I remember the moments and like being downstairs and it was just like phone calls. Like there was just a lot going on. And I can't even remember. I had to be probably before or after, but just like just the amount of times that your parents would make us go to church. Do you remember? Like if I talked about that in the last pod, like if I was sleeping over Saturday night, Sunday morning, we're getting up and going to church.
Well, Jandro also basically lived with us. And that was the thing. Like she can stay here as long as she wants, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
Like she needs to go. And I think she's thankful for it too, you know, and maybe she might have known the significance of it at the time, but now she does.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for it. And even at times where I'm like, oh, bro, like I'm not trying to go.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's like going to the gym. No one wants to go.
We'd be on the bunk beds like,
not the bunk beds. No. Oh my gosh. Yes. So I do remember that.
You guys would just come in like, get up. And you'd be like, come on, let's go. And I just knew, even my mom knew like, okay, you're sleepover, you're going to go to church. Are you sure you want to go to church? And I'm just like, yeah, I'll go to church. Because I feel like low key, down deep inside, like my soul knew I wanted it, even though I didn't really understand what the heck was going on. I was just like, it's kind of cool, and just really the family atmosphere that you guys would have. Like it was just something that I don't know if you ever thought about it, but it's like for you guys grew up with that, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, like it's
all you know.
It's all you know.
And the older I get, the more I realize how rare it is, especially in our generation. Like it's very rare, and I really, really try my best to not take it for granted. But that is why I live the way I do. Like my family always comes first, and that's just, you know, obviously God first and my family, but because of just like everything that we've been through and the foundation that my parents have built for us, I'm just so thankful for it. And even just all the good, the bad, everything.
Yeah. Do you want to cut a little comic relief? Do you remember?
Like, I'm all, yeah.
Diane, I'm so sorry about this.
Oh, Lord.
No.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Do you remember when Brittany and I
crashed the golf cart?
Well, that too.
Oh. Well, broke the window, went to the wash. Which one? Which one are we talking about?
We were
remember the wash?
The wash. Why did we?
Why is it even called that? Is it?
I think literally water goes through it. And I don't even know why it's called the wash. But no, there was this one time where Brittany and I and a couple people we snuck into an abandoned house.
Oh,
and the police,
right,
dude.
You guys had to stare at the wall, right? My mom was
Here's the thing. This is the thing. I love my parents. They did the best that they could, but they didn't really discipline me. Like I didn't know what discipline was. But the Rivas family,
you can learn.
Yeah, like Diane, she would literally discipline me, and I'd be like, "Oh shoot, okay." But I that like was stuck in my heart because that one time. Well, let me just tell you guys, these two guys, and then me and Brittany and I, we were in a house. The police come, we're like, oh, shoot. So we go to the backyard. The two guys jump over.
You guys didn't run, though, right?
Me and Brittany tried. We were all scraped up here. We're like, wait. And the police was like, stop. Just like, give up. We just slid down. We're like, all right. We got in the cop car. And we got dropped off at the Rivas family. And
I actually remember I had to go upstairs and tell my dad that, like, I'm like, hey. I'm so sorry, my mom was like, it's your daughter. like your daughter's in the cop car right now. And then he was just like, I can't. And I'm pretty sure my mom made you stay in the corner.
Yeah, she literally made me stay in the corner. And then you were making me laugh.
Of course. Dumb all idiots. Dude, thank God I wasn't really on social media back then, because I would have been like, hold on, I need to make a reel.
I remember you going down the stairs and laughing.
Day in my life.
And then Diane was like, go upstairs. Don't talk to her. And I'm like, and I was literally facing a corner. But I say that to say, like, just even that, like disciplining, and which is biblical as well. Like that planted seeds of like, oh, like discipline is important and it's needed. Very. And it's part of love. Not that my parents didn't love me, but that's just, discipline was just not really a thing. And so, yeah, dude, but we crashed the golf cart. Oh my gosh, dude. I'm so sorry, guys. Didn't we have to like raise money, or what did we do?
So Brittany actually got away with it for a few months. We hit it. And I remember me and Ashley and my parents, I'm pretty sure Brittany was with you, like at your house or something. And we're setting up Christmas lights, me and Ashley, because we didn't really drive the golf cart often. And my parents are like looking at it. It's all bent, first of all. I'm like, how did you guys not see that? Then
you knew about it.
I knew.
Were you there with us?
I wasn't on it with you guys, but I was like, You guys came with like battery burns, like all this, like, remember that? Gosh, and it was like so bad. And they were like, I know you guys know. Say it now. And I was like, I ain't no snitch.
I'm not a snitch.
I'm a good little sister and big sister.
Yeah, dude.
Just do it all, bro.
I don't know how I do it. I'm just different.
But yeah, and then they found out, and I don't remember the repercussions of that after. But I remember like, how are me and Ashley getting yelled at?
Yeah, I feel
like did I know? Of course, but like
it was like a combo always. Like everyone just always got in trouble together.
Oh yeah,
but no, dude, I'm just like, when I saw your parents, I think it was MJ. He was getting baptized recently, right? I'm pretty sure. Or no, who's the younger son? Micah. I think, yeah.
Micah's the baby.
Micah was getting baptized. And I saw your parents and I was like, oh my goodness. And I told them right away, like, you guys had such an impact and planted so many seeds. Like, even though, like, I'd be dumb to say that I didn't have an impact later on in my life, because when I was older and I was needing, like, God, I would think of, like, just the times that they would have all this faith. And I mean, there's something about them which is, now I know it's the Holy Spirit in them. Like there's something about that family. There's something about like their faith, that peace that surpasses all understanding. Like, I don't know what it is, but I want to know more about it. And I remember your mom. Do you remember this? Like the speakers that you guys had throughout the whole house?
Yeah, everyone had one in their room.
Literally worship playing 24/7, even if it was like a volume number 1 or 2.
Well, she told me last night, I never even knew this, that like she would put scriptures like under our bed, like tape it to our bed. And I'm like, I never knew that. I was like, hold on. But yeah, and then she said that like she would play worship music all the time, just like little things.
Yeah. Like this can get a little weirdo. People might think it's weird, but I hold truth to it. Like there's certain homes that I've been in, whether it's friends, boyfriends, whatever it was, like, and I would feel like dark presence and like dark just presence. And even at my house back in the day, I remember feeling like almost like staleness, but I never felt that at the Rivas family. Like, and I truly believe, because it was covered by the blood of Jesus. It was like, that was, as for me and my house, we serve the Lord, and just felt like this peace. And that's why I feel like I would always, as a young girl, would flee to that house, because, you know, my spirit was yearning for God, and that was a godly home.
Well, another thing too is when Anthony was sick, like I said, all the waiting was done in the hospital, and my mom only had worship music on. Like, you know, they always offer like, you want the TV on, blah, blah. Never, ever. It was always like, I think 89.7. And she just played it and like had a new scripture every day on his like NICU bed. And I remember like, I'm going to cry. She had told me that this had to have been like the third time they told her, like, you need to go say goodbye to him. And I guess like the times before that, she never did. She was like, nope, I'm not going to. Like, I'm good, thank you. Like, and then...
And Diane would say it just like that,
but too. She wouldn't allow anyone to... But the way... Just like, I thought of that when you were saying like the presence of like stillness, because if you didn't have it together, my mom was like, you cannot come in. Like, you can't come see him. Even family members, like I love my Nina, but like she would be like crying, right? And like, and it's obviously so intentional, you know, and like I love her, but my mom was like, no one's crying in here. Like no one is like, yeah, like that's strictly it. But the third time they told her that, she broke down. And I remember she told me she just cried out to God and she was like, what? I have been doing everything. Like, I don't even like blink an eye when they tell me anything wrong with him. I haven't seen my kids, like all these things, like give me something to, like, this is the third time now that they're telling me this, like, give me something. And I guess she said like that night she had a dream that like Anthony was playing baseball. And he's like the biggest baseball fan I know, plays healthy. And then she went back and was like, I'm not saying bye. Like, and it's just, I remember when she first told me that and I was like, oh my gosh. And she didn't tell me that until I got a little older, just so I can like fully appreciate everything that comes in that. And I will never forget that. For sure.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, because God be speaking through dreams.
Yeah.
But didn't the doctors even say like, yes, he's good for now, but at a certain age, and like
they just like it just depends. Like there was people. I mean, it was that he had all of his journey in Loma Linda, which is a very faith-based hospital. So it just really depended on who it was, but for the most part, there was like little to no faith that he was going to make it, have a normal life, just always have challenges. And I mean, you've seen him, you know, and that's why I get so emotional about him, because he's just like a constant reminder. Right. And I honestly don't remember life before Anthony sometimes, because I feel like our family really needed that. And just even his testimony alone just has impacted so many people. And every time I look at him, it's like he just lives his life to the fullest, you know? He doesn't even realize what he's missing out on, because he truly feels he has it all, which to me, I'm all you do. But so he's just, a huge reminder of like, you know, having faith, just living life to the fullest and just being grateful and not stuck on, because he has every reason to not appreciate what life has to offer. I mean, I'd be lying if he says he doesn't have challenges. You know, he's been in special education for his whole life, and like he doesn't, like, things are harder for him. Just realistically, they are. And, you know, he misses a lot of school because he has a lot of medical things, and it's for the most part always going to be that way, but we've made it work. And I think he has a very full life still, and that's what matters. Yeah, I mean, every time I see him on your story, he's laughing, has a smile on his face, like, and that's what people tell me too. It's like they feel like they know him just because of it, and that's how impactful he is. Yeah, dude, there's a story in the Bible where there's like a little boy that was sick, and they ask Jesus like, why is he sick? Is it because the boy himself sinned, or because his parents sinned? And Jesus said, it's none. It's so they could see my glory and my miracle within him. And so I love that. That's because what it is. It's not that your parents did anything wrong or that he did anything wrong. It's just God used him as a testimony, and to see like the miracles that could happen through his faith and through Jesus. And I love that you mentioned that, because I never even thought of it that way. But I know that people have asked me if I ever want to have kids, because our family medical history, which, you know, at first I was really defensive about it, because I'm like, what is, like, my parents didn't ask for this. Like, they didn't do, like, you know, but I mean, regardless, I think God is going to use me however he sees fit. And if that is the case, then so be it. Yeah. Like, we're all here, we're all healthy, and we're all doing well. And even if my journey looks different than what my parents went through when they had kids, then that's my journey to take. Well, that goes with the whole walking by faith. It's like knowing like God's plan is God's plan. Yeah. And like,
whatever it is, however it is that he wants to use me, like I know he's got me, whatever that looks like.
I think that's what I'm currently still learning as an adult.
How so? Like with everything, not just.
I think the instinct in me to just constantly figure things out is because of how I've grown up. You know, we've had to figure it out. We had to grow up young. I had to learn how to cook, clean, run a household at a very young age, all while dealing with all these things going on at home. So that instinct comes in a lot where I'm like, oh, I have to figure it out.
Me, survival, like
all the time. Yeah. And I think a lot of our family, like my family and I, kind of have that, but it's I don't even really know how to explain it, because it's like, I know God's got this. I know it. I pray about it. But then if he humbles me and shows me like, that's not what I want for you, I want this, I'm like, hold on. It's like, how are you going to pray about something, have faith, and then when I do something you don't want to do, you're going to like question it. I think that's what it is. It's like I question everything. Like for example, this is a perfect example of like how I noticed that I started feeling this way, is because everything that happened with my mom, like I remember the moment I realized this is way more serious than I thought, and I need to take a leave. I don't know how I'm going to do it. What goes into that? I've never taken a leave before. I've worked since I was 15. I've never not worked. So I don't know if I can afford it. I don't care. Yeah. Like, I'll figure it out. And God's got this. And I'm glad I did that. And I have no regrets. It's the best thing I've ever done. Like, I think it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what God has called me to do, and I'm going to do it with everything I have in me. And I did. And then after that, my dream job flew, like the position flew twice. And I applied for it. And I was like, okay, this is my time, you know? Yeah. Didn't get it both times. And that's when I was like, I feel like, what is going on? What am I doing? And it's like, again, just you that's what you thought, you know, and I didn't pray about it before, and I kind of just assumed like that was the order it was supposed to go in, and then you just start spiraling, because then I'm like, this is what I'm going to school for, like this is what I've taken 2 more programs on to get this specific position. I do A, B, C, and D. I don't understand, like, they're not giving me any feedback on why I'm not getting this job. Yeah. And so then you just start questioning everything. But I'm like, if I would have just prayed about it and I would have just went that route, it would have just been so much easier. Yeah, and I wouldn't question myself so much. Yeah,
and sometimes I've been in situations where I'm like, I'm praying and I'm doing all the things. I'm like, okay, God, I believe that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And even if it's not, I know you're going to guide me. And then it's like, it's not. And I'm like, wait, I was kidding. Like, hold on,
I was half joking.
I was like kind of just saying that because I was really thinking we still got this. And it's like, so.
But I think it's good that we can admit that, though, you know? And it's like, faith. I'm just being transparent. Like, yeah, and now it makes sense, because when I came back from my leave, you know, even going to Rancho, I used to work at Osos, now I work at Rancho, and that was a huge thing for me too at the time, like the switch, because it wasn't up to me, it was the district. And I remember I was like, because Anthony was going to be a freshman, he was going to go there, and I had all these plans, and it's like, again. I know,
so my plan,
exactly. So I'm still thankful for it, and now seeing the friends I've made at Rancho, the connections I've made, we've created a club on campus, you know, and I've just been so much more involved, getting them to go on field trips. And I feel like, okay, this is where I'm meant to be. And I'm still going to keep trying. And then I was even spiraling so much. I'm like, should I just not go back to school? Because what am I doing this for? And I start on the 14th. I didn't drop out, Mom. Didn't drop out again. But, yeah, so I'm just gonna keep going, and then something will open up.
A lot of the times, if not most of the time,
something better.
Yeah, and also like things will not make sense until you look back and you're like, oh, that's why that happened, and why I couldn't go there, and why he wanted me there. But like in the moment, big dude, time. You're really walking by faith. Like you're like, okay, like I'm just gonna make take one step and then the other, which is also biblical. It's like we have the vision, but he directs our steps. And it's like James also talks about that for us not to boast about tomorrow, because like not make so much plans thinking that we're in control, because we're not. Because we could say like, because I used to be like that, like, oh, in 5 years I'm gonna be here, and 10 years I'm gonna be here, and
such
now
a planner.
I'm like, okay, I think I'm like, it's happened enough times where I'm like, dude, we really don't know. We only know right now and what we can do right now and tomorrow. And I'm not saying never plan, obviously, but
like realistically,
and leave some margin for him to do his thing, because he can do way more than we can. We could do all the practical stuff.
Have you seen that picture where it's like Jesus and a kid, and they're like begging for the stuffed animal, and it's like a small little one, and then he has a huge one that you win at like the fair, and it's I have to I need to like get that in my room or something to just remind him right here, because I
it's so true,
and it's hard.
It's so hard,
and it's hard because I don't think my intention is to overstep what God has for me, but it's more of just like I know that I'm capable of so much more, and I have to realize that God's not going to waste that. And he knows that, that part, he's not going to waste any opportunity for me. Yeah. And it's also just, we're our own like worst critic, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's hard to not compare. Like my friends are getting married, having babies, starting their careers. And I'm still like, I've had 2 jobs for 6 years. I've been trying to figure out what I want to do, and I've switched my major twice, which isn't a big deal. Like, it's normal, but we're so hard on ourselves. Yeah. And
this whole generation, I think we can all relate with that.
Yeah.
It's just the comparison, the social media.
Yeah. And I've gotten to a place where I think that's what caregiving for my mom and brother really taught me. It's like to like not be so hard on myself, because when I was in it, I was so hard on myself. Never wanted to ask for help. I was like, I have to figure it out. And then looking back at how I was doing everything, like I'm very proud of myself. Yeah. And I wish I like gave myself that grace during that time. But it is what it is. I learned a lot. And now if something else comes my way, I feel much more confident that I can deal with it. Yeah,
and give yourself the grace now. Because even 5 and 10 years, you look back at Dani right now and be like, dang, she did good, I wish I would have given herself more grace. Because, like, we're always going through seasons. And it's like when we're in it, we don't fully see, like, dang, we're, like, in it. And until we're out of it, we're like, dang, you made it through.
And I remember my friend Caitlin, who is not a Christian. I love her to death. And she told me something like, I was so inspired when you were going through that. And, you just what you can do in a day, because that whole process, just to kind of give you some context with like where I was at mentally during that time. So
when your mom was sick,
when my mom was sick, like I said, I didn't know how serious it was until I went to go see her, and I was like, oh, this is bad. So
how many days after did you realize, oh, this is serious?
The first day I saw her.
Okay.
Yeah. The first. So what happened with that was we were actually going to go. She had said she wasn't feeling well. I'll just get into that before I go. Yeah. But she said she wasn't feeling well. She was going to go lay down and take a nap, which I don't think anyone would ever normally like question that, But it's crazy because Brody would not leave her and kept crying.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy? Like dogs just know. I don't care what anyone says. They know. Like, and like he knows when you're not feeling well, but like when you're like down bad, I feel like they have like something in them. Wow. And so he just would not leave her. And I remember we were in the car. It was me, my dad, and Anthony, and we were going to go see MJ at his game. And he was like, we're in the driveway, and my dad gets out and it's like, I'm just going to take her. I have a bad feeling about this. I'm just going to take her. And my mom, like most females, is stubborn. And we're like, we're fine. We'll just sleep it off because we think we're like invincible. And
sorry, that's a real thing.
And I remember his game was at like 7. 6 or 7 p.m. By 2 a.m., I got a text from my dad that she was out of her first emergency surgery. And if she didn't have it, she would have died that night. And I was like,
were you asleep and he took her, or what happened?
Yeah, so I went to sleep because I figured you were going to urgent care. I knew it was going to be forever, right? I was like, I knew it was going to take long. I honestly went to bed fine. Like, I didn't think anything.
Like,
I'm like,
care, like
in worst case, emergency room, still going to take long. I just went to bed. Come on, girl, we've been through a lot. I wasn't even questioning a little headache or something, you know? So then I woke up and I remember I just was like, what is going on? Emergency surgery for what? Like, what is happening? I didn't know that it was this serious. So then that happened. And so I went the following day, and I don't even think I ever told my mom this, but my dad and I kind of alternated, but we were always there at the same time at the hospital. Like, I was going to relieve him, he was going to relieve me, unless she had a surgery or like something serious that they were doing that day. We were there at the same time. But basically, he was leaving when I was getting there, told me the room she was in, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of go in and I'm like, oh, I think I'm in the wrong room. So I go out and I ask a nurse, I'm like, hey, can you just double check where my mom's room is? Because I don't think that's her room. And she was like, oh, I'm actually your mom's nurse. That is her room. And I remember my heart just sank because I could see the side of her, but I couldn't see her face. It was her back was towards me. And then I remember I saw her purse from the corner of my eye, and my heart sank because she overnight a twig. And I'm like, what is going on? What is and
wow.
And my dad didn't really love Gustavo, but he didn't. I think it's just a man, a male thing. They just aren't very detailed.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is so much worse than I thought, and we're gonna have to figure something out.
Your sisters weren't there yet or anything?
Ashley was pregnant.
Oh yeah.
And Brittany had bronchitis leading to I want to say pneumonia or something.
Yeah, I remember.
It was only me and my dad there the entire time she was there. So, and for a lot of it, I was by myself. So I had to see her like that, and it's heartbreaking. It's your mom, and I'll never forget that. So the moment I knew I had to take a leave, I remember I didn't know how to do one. And I was still trying to go to work until I figured it out, got all the logistics handled. And kind of referencing back to what you were saying, God always puts you where he knows you need to be. And my student specifically, so he's nonverbal, and he, a lot of people think they don't know. They can't sense emotions or whatever, which isn't true. But I remember just going through it. It took everything in me to go to work, and I was there, but I was not there.
Yeah.
And he just kept looking back at me, and I remember I'm like, this is why God brought me to Rancho. I don't think I would have had that at my other school, you know. And it's not good or bad, but it's more of that's what I needed at that time. I didn't want to talk.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't, but he knew something was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And he just kept looking back at me, and it was just very touching.
Yeah. That's all that you needed.
I needed. And I felt okay, I can be here until things get figured out. And then I apply for the leave, gets denied. I'm like, I'm sorry. How does this get denied? People have gone catastrophic leave for a broken ankle. My mom is dying.
Yeah.
My little brother has special needs that I need to attend to. So
that's a whole nother thing that I taking care of him.
My dad had to work because my mom was out of work. Well, he was always working, but I thought he worked a lot before. He had to work twice as much, which meant I had to be at the hospital by myself that much more. And you got to do what you got to do. I'm not mad at anyone for it, but that's just how it was. And so it was that my leave didn't get approved at first. And then with Starbucks, my manager was I had a new ASM that day, and I had to go in and tell her I need 3 weeks off minimum. Like, period. Like, I'm just telling you. And I remember I've never met her before. That was the first day I met her. I'm just crying in the lobby.
Yeah.
Like, I need time off. Like, I can't do this. Like, I need to take some time off. And she was like, well, why 3 weeks? Because if you take more than 3 weeks, you have to take a leave. And I was like, well, I don't know if my other leave's approved right now. I don't want to be dumb. And at least I have some sorts of income, you know, if I have that leniency to come back here. Because if you're on a leave, you can't work. You can't even pick up shifts at other stores. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
So then she's like, okay, we figured it out. And then I go back to the district and I'm like, okay, can we fight it? Like, can we try and get it approved again? It gets approved. Then I try to go get a grant from Starbucks. Like, they offer it to like partners who are struggling or whatever. Gets denied. I'm like, do I need to be like me dying for me to get any type of help around here? Like, I don't get it. So just one thing after another, it was just so stressful. And then I remember they weren't going to approve basically how the district leave worked, the catastrophic leave. People had to donate hours to you. That's the only way you were going to get paid. What? And I'm like, bruh, I just started at Rancho. No one really knew me. Yeah. And I haven't, like, I knew a lot of people at Oso's, so I'm, like, thankful for that. And again, it's like, that's what God does. And, like, and thank God, Brittany works in the same district as me. She gave me all her hours, which accumulated to, like, thousands of dollars, essentially, you know? And I was like, okay. And I remember I took the leave without even, like, planning for it. I just was like, I'm taking it. And I remember I told her surgeon to give me all the paperwork. I'm like, he's like, do you have any like plan? I was like, no, I don't. We're gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna let her. I have to take care of her. Like, that's what God's calling me to do, is take care of her. So I'm gonna do it. So then at the school we get paid once a month, and the district lady calls me back, hey, we approved it. We'll send out the message so all schools can donate hours to you, and we'll see how it goes. Then it really started to set in, because I'm like, oh, I don't know how many hours I'm going to get. It was January. I needed to be off till May. It's a lot of hours. So dang, a lot of hours to ask if people.
How long it was?
Yeah, it was like 5 months. Wow. And so then I get a call from, I'm like in Dollar Tree, and it's the district lady, and she's like, hey, I'm just calling to let you know, like, you've almost received 500 hours. And I remember, like, after I got off the phone with her, I started crying, because that covered me until, like, I had to go back for, like, a week in May. That covered me from January to May. And I remember I was just crying. I needed to go there for, like, something stupid, and I just was standing there. I'm like, oh my gosh,
that's God.
Yeah,
because that doesn't make sense.
I wanted to tell her, like, that's God, you know, but I'm like,
have you heard of our Lord and Savior?
I was just, oh my gosh. And I called my mom. She was crying, and like, I was so nervous because my leave, like, first wasn't getting approved. My grant didn't get approved. And I didn't really have another plan B, C, D, or E, like, after that. Yeah. So, it just shows, like, and I was terrified because, like I said, I'm new to Rancho. They don't really know me here. And a lot of people see the emails, because I've seen them. And they're like, oh, I'm going to pray for you. You know, like
I hope someone picks up shifts for you or donates shifts for you, but you don't do it yourself. Like, it's a real thing.
And, you know, not even just those hours, but people, we literally were fed every single day for months. Like, people dropped food, people I've never even met before. And like, I remember seeing my ring just crying, like, when I was with my mom. She was asleep majority of the time that I was there, but my ring kept going off. And it's people like dropping food off, dropping groceries off, dropping like flowers off. And I'm like, who are these people? But I'm like, this is crazy, you know? And
that's people literally being the hands and feet of God. Mm-hmm. God taking care of you through people.
Right. Yeah. And it was just so nice, because I feel like sometimes I'm that person for a lot of people, and it takes a lot for me to ask for help. Like, my friends know, if I'm asking you for help, you better help me, because it took everything in me to ask you. Yeah. So just to see all of that was like, at least I can't control everything, but I know that like those needs are being met, and it's okay. Like and my mom has always told me, like, let people bless you, let them have that feeling too, because it's a feeling for them too, you know. And so I'm like learning
I recently really started to understand that, like, it actually is offensive when my cameras got stolen. My friend reached out to me and she was like wanting to donate this amount of money, whatever, and this is the last time I ever did this, because I literally felt so convicted. I was like, well, it's okay. Like, I felt like I didn't want her to think I was taking advantage or whatever, lie we tell ourselves.
It's just more in us. Yeah, for sure us.
And I'm like, well, you know, the camera that I need, it's only this much, so you don't have to donate the whole thing. Blah, blah. She's just like stayed quiet. She's like, send me your Zelle. And I was like, but it was like almost like I felt like I slapped her in the face, you know, because it's like, she's like, dude, like, I'm trying to
bless. It's an experience for her.
Like, let me bless you. And like, if I'm telling you I could do it, it's because I can do it and I want to do it. And so yeah, like being able to receive love and blessings is something I'm recently learning. But going back to your mom, because you said that this is like a moment where you're like, yo, God, like, what's up? Because it got to a point where we didn't know what was going to happen.
So I think the point where I was pissed, like, was the day they told us she was coming home. And me and my dad were kind of freaking out because she did not look well. And I didn't really see much progress. So I'm like, I was terrified to take care of her. I've never told her that, but I'm like, I was terrified. I take care of kids for a living, but like, it's so different when it's your mom. And
she looks in that
state where that already is hard for me. Yeah. Let alone I take care of my brother too, to maintain our home. And like, Brody's still a factor, you know? So I'm all, it's a lot. I was terrified. And they told us she was going to come home. We had nothing ready at the house. I called my friend, Caitlin. I was like, I have nothing at home for her. I don't have the supplies she needs, nothing. So she ran Target, came, dropped it off for me. And then like an hour later, her surgeon comes in and he's like, so we took another look at her like results or whatever, and she needs to go into emergency surgery ASAP. And I remember like at that point, like, I'll never forget, me and my dad just like looked at each other and I was like, I am done. I'm so done. Like, they have, like, not to take it out on them, but I'm like, they made it seem like she was doing well. And like, what is happening? At that point, I was just frustrated.
For sure.
So upset. And I'm like, I am doing everything in my power. Kind of like how my mom felt with Anthony. And then it would just make me think of that. Like, being in Loma Linda, as comforting as it is, it's also like, it reminds me of every little thing. It's like, my brother almost died here. I was in the waiting room because I didn't meet Anthony until he was a month old. And I would say
that one picture, It's that one picture where you're on the couch, or no?
That's when he first came home.
I remember that picture.
But I didn't meet him until he was a month, and I would sit in the waiting room crying. So it's like a lot of goes into that. And for my dad, I can't even imagine for my dad. But I just kept thinking, like, my parents have been through years of this. I can do this because I was struggling at first, but I'm like, I just kept thinking about that. Like, they did this for years of their life. Yeah. And it's crazy. But at that point, I was really frustrated and like questioning things like, why is this happening? Why my mom? Like, she's been through a lot already, you know, like, and so then the following day she had her surgery and it went well. And I'll never forget when we were packing her stuff up to go home, I was dying inside because I was so scared to take care of her, which I'm like, it's your mom, but it's my mom.
It's a whole responsibility.
And yeah, like I said, I think looking back now, I am proud of myself, and even though I was going through all these things and I would go home, they wouldn't let me stay the night. She was there for 2 weeks and they only let me stay the night once.
Why?
Like, my mom's literally dying, but okay. So they just didn't, because other people were like taking advantage of it or whatever, of course. But I remember every night before I would go drive home, I would literally sit in my car and just sob crying for like 30 minutes because I wouldn't cry. I was trying to be like my mom. I was literally trying to be like my mom. Like, okay, if I'm in here, I can't cry. I cried when they told us that, though. That was the first time I did, because I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, we were packing her stuff up to go home, and like,
it's like an emotional roller coaster.
Well, that's what my dad,
pinata,
Gustavo, was like being Gustavo that day, like, because he was like, what is happening? Like, are we going home? No, like, I can't keep doing this. Like, so, and I remember just crying out to God, though, like every night, just in my car, crying, listening to worship music, like I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this is happening, but like, I'm going to keep doing what you're calling me to do, but I need like the guidance, the strength, all everything from you to get through it. And I did, you know, and that I've learned so much in that, like so much. I've learned to ask for help, that it's okay to ask for help. I've learned to give myself grace, just so I can go on and on about the things I've learned in that during that time.
Do you think that situation got you closer to God?
For sure, because
even though you were low-key were you questioning him, or were you questioning the situation?
For sure, the situation and the circumstances, because I'm like, what is happening? Like, but it did bring me a lot closer to God, because the year before that, I was in my own very personal, like, battle that I was just involved in things that I'm just not proud of, and I won't like get into detail about that, but it's just something that was very out of character, and I beat myself up about it for almost a year, questioning like just, and I'm the one that put an end to whatever it is that I was doing, and I'm proud of that, and I've made a lot of growth, but I was questioning like who I was as a person. Like, am I really a good person? Am I this? And it's just like, obviously the enemy just feeding me all. Oh, you had a little mistake.
You're not saved. You're not a Christian.
And all these things, right? And then it got to me. It really got to me like never before in my life. I've always been like, I could go in a room with anybody and I wouldn't care what they had to say about me. But it wasn't even anyone else saying it. It was me. It was like my own thoughts of like being so hard on myself. And that is what I needed to go through to have this newfound, like, just respect for myself, confidence in myself, to now just continue on with this new attitude and outlook on life, because I needed it.
I think it's the moments where we're kind of forced to be on our knees and surrender and be like, I am literally doing everything and it's not working, like whatever that may manifest into, and God will use that like to get our attention or to renew our perspective about
and it was the hardest thing I've ever been through.
I can imagine, dude.
Like, my break was going to Starbucks, because I eventually went back. I took time off school. Like, I sacrificed a lot. And looking back, I'm like, I'm proud. And I would do it again tomorrow, because I know that God's going to handle it. And the 400 or 500 hours, I'm like, from people, like, could be strangers. I don't know. I know people in the district, but I don't know like that many people.
I don't know, 500.
I don't know what the, like,
crazy.
It covered me. And I went back at the perfect timing, because it was a week before school was ending and I had seniors. Yeah. And I remember I was like, it's a lot, because I love my students and I love being around them. So like, that was a change for her and I too, because my mom loves her students, and I was able to go back, say goodbye to them. So everything worked out, and I am so thankful for that experience. I'll never ever forget it. And just day by day going through it, and I have a whole new perspective on caregivers. Like,
Yeah, dude.
I've always known they do a lot, but I'm like, but it's also made me realize too, like, people are very inconsiderate, like, just in general, like people just don't have common sense now. My dad's like, it's just not common anymore.
Yeah,
like when
not.
we would go out, I'd be struggling, have the wheelchair, have her purse, have my purse.
And
like,
no one would help.
No one would help me. No one would open the door for me. Like it would be
people are so caught up in their own thing.
Yeah, and it made me realize that, but it just made me want to like be that much more impactful, you know, and be more like, I remember I went to a sermon shortly after my mom came home, and it's like, to live loudly. Like we have, you know, our favorite singer, our favorite sports team, and we're so loud about that, you know, like why not be loud about what God has done for you? And like, that's why I do share a lot. And like, whether people think that's like too much or not, like it's not for them or me. It's for God
people don't care if we're loud when we were like drunk all the time, or if we're
it's funny, it's this, it's that, and like,
but if it's like we're talking about God, all of a sudden you're being too much. It's like, I wasn't too much when I was like throwing up, you know?
Yeah, or had like my body showing. Of course not, you know, but yeah.
So what's something that, well, is there anything that's been on your heart that you wanted to share? And or anything that you wish people would know about your walk with God, or the walk with God?
It's not perfect, and I'm always working on bettering myself, you know. And like I was telling you before, I'm like, I'm scared I'm gonna cuss, you know. And
that's okay.
It happens.
We bleep it out,
you know. And there are times where I don't know. I would say just to always just keep going, acknowledge it, and like work at it, and just continue to move forward. Because if you sit with it, like how I was with my not getting the jobs, it's like God always has a plan, and it's just gonna be so much more than what we think is good for us.
Yeah.
And there's so much.
I think too, also like, what's standing out to me with everything you said in the beginning is like what your parents instilled in you guys, like not having that victim mentality. It's like not just sitting with it, and like if it's not going your way or it didn't work out, if you failed, whatever it is, like whatever, it could be about anything, relationships, a job, whatever. It's like, okay, and you move, you keep moving forward, like, because it is like, people say, I have someone that in my life that says like, I hate when people say it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. Because I say it all the time, but it is. Like, okay, it is what it is. And now let's move forward. Like,
well, even how I was mentioning earlier too, like it doesn't mean that you don't experience brokenness and sadness and all of those feelings. That all comes with it.
Yeah.
And like, and that's not for you to get upset about with God, you know, but it's part of the process. But it just doesn't even like slightly touch the surface of like the joy that comes with it. And that's what's important. And that's what I try to focus on, because that's how I try to live my life, because I'm here for a reason. God said my story is not over yet, you know? And I remember my mom said that with her situation too. She was like, you know, God's not done with me. And, you know, I think that's why we live the way we do. And, you know, I put my all into everything I do, because I truly feel like I'm doing the Lord's work with the job I'm in, and I love it. And my student, his parents are pastors. So again, I feel like God put me at Rancho for a reason, to kind of hold me more accountable, you know, like a big thing I'm learning too now, which I've noticed this very recently. I want to say maybe a month and a half ago. I have loved to be by myself. I love it, which I think is good to an extent, right? Like it's healthy. You don't want to like, you know, those people were like, I can't do anything by myself. I'm like, bruh,
like relax,
like grow up. But so it's so, again, like God just always be coming in clutch to me, because he
knows exactly what like we need and how we need it.
Right. I took a selfie in the church parking lot, and I'm all solo date, which is like, I'm glad I have the confidence to go by myself if I needed to. And I've done it for a very long time. And then that that sermon was about like community. I'm all, bruh. So then I'm like, oh my gosh. And I remember everything that like the pastor was saying. I was like, period. And I'm like, I wish someone was next to me and being like, period. And then I remember shortly after that, my friend Mel, our family friend, she reached out to me and was like, oh, let's start going. And I'm like, dude, you don't know how badly I needed this. And she's like, you don't know how badly I needed to just go. And me, I'm like, I needed to go with somebody, you know? And because
there's seasons to go be by yourself.
Right.
Like, and I've gone through that season in the beginning, especially like I needed to go to church by myself. I needed to kind of just, but then community is
huge.
Yeah.
And I think going by yourself too, it's like there are seasons, because when I was going through it with my mom, my whole day, if you think about it, like I take Anthony to school every day, make him breakfast, come home, take care of my mom. Then I still had to go to work at Starbucks where it's customer service and you have to like tend to all their needs. So it's like, I want to go by myself. Yeah. I want to like do this. And it was great for that time. And now I've realized just how nice it is to go with someone and kind of like have perspective, because I could love a sermon and be like, oh, I mean, like it spoke to me and this, and this. And then someone else can be like, oh, I didn't see it that way. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I need to be more involved. So I think what I'm currently working on is being more involved and being more vocal about, you know, if I need help or whatever the case may be. We're all a work in progress for sure. And just to not be so hard on myself. And, you know, it can... like, you know, when like your mom tells you something and you're like, you have to say that, you're my mom.
Yeah.
People have been telling me things that are so meaningful to me that I just never would have thought that anyone felt that way.
Yeah.
Because I just be living my life, honestly.
I just be doing me.
Then, like, people really think I analyze everything people think about me, and I don't care. Like to an extent, of course, you know. But I'm like, I'm not like fixated on what I'm posting. I just live my life. And seeing that, it does make me more aware and makes me want to just hold myself that much more accountable of like what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm listening to, what I'm participating in, how much I'm participating in.
Because people are watching.
People are watching. When I was, again, during this time with my mom, I can't express enough like how many people reached out to me. People from high school I've never said a word to reached out to me and was like, I've been following you for years. You know, I've been a silent follower and I've watched you grow. I've watched your family. I've always like looked at your family, kind of like how you were saying, you know, I didn't really know, but like I've watched you guys flourish into like the positions that you are now. And it's been like inspiring. And I remember I'm like crying reading this like in the hospital room with my mom right next to me. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that. And that's why it's so important to just like live loudly for God. And even though I think I get scared because we're just human and like we slip up and we fall short. That's what I think kind of holds me back sometimes. Because
like
even
not living up to
their expectation or perception of what a Christian like young woman should be like. Yeah. You know, you shouldn't wear that. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't have tattoos. You shouldn't. But you used to do this. Yeah. You used to do that. And it's like, dude like
that's honestly like one of the biggest things and why I try to just have like super open conversations about the walk with God, because I think a lot of people think that they have to get it all together in order to start going to church or be a Christian or to follow God. But it's like, no, dude, it's coming to God that he helps you get it together. And even then you're going to fall short.
Right.
And you're never going to be perfect. And that's the whole point. Like we need him because we fall short, and the law, the commandments, all the things is to show us how far we are from God's standard and how much we needed a savior. And so being in community helps me a lot because it makes me realize like,
I want to go.
You're struggling with that too?
You hold your own Bible study, right?
Yeah, come through.
Do you do it on Wednesdays?
So we do. Okay, so literally Monday through Friday, we do a Zoom call. Ooh. It's early. It's probably when you're walking your dog. What time do you walk your dog, buddy?
I'm all like 4:30 in the morning. 4.
Okay, hold on.
4 in the morning.
Wait,
well, no one come stalk me, please. No one come kill me.
We literally used to do it at 4 a.m. and then we grew up. But now we do it from 6 a.m. to 7. We have a Bible study call. And then we do we read like a chapter and then we just pray. But it's like, dude, something about being on a call with people that just want to
like-minded. We're all just doing our best.
We're all just doing our best. And something that people, and I'm just like so grateful that people feel this way about the Jesus Squad, is that they're like, everyone is honest about where they're at. Like no one's trying to like one up each other, or no one's trying to
competition.
No one's trying to be like, I'm the perfect Christian. It's like, no, dude, like we're struggling with this. Like I need prayer for this, or because when someone is able and talks about it in James, like when you confess like your sins, when you confess your temptations, you get healing from that. When you
totally
when you're able,
it's like a weight off like your shoulders. Yes. For sure.
And then even for the other person listening, like, oh dang, like it's not just me that's struggling with that.
That is very true, because I was listening to the church I go to. I'm all shout out Patria, but they have a podcast too, Beyond the Letter, and Beyond I Do, but the specific one I was listening to was Beyond the Letter, and it was all females.
Yeah.
And they have like married women, single women, engaged, dating, whatever. I like that they do that, because sometimes I'm like, why am I going to listen to Beyond I Do when I'm single? But I'm like, it's good to listen to
for the future,
right? And it's so funny that you said that, because okay, when it comes to dating and all that, I'm always kind of like, what am I doing wrong, God? What is it? I'm like,
dating things for the real thing.
So then one of the girls on there, she's single, and she's like, yeah, I mean, I don't, everything she was saying, I'm all like, yes, that is me. And she's very busy. She has a very busy lifestyle. She likes to post on social media, and she feels like she has all like she's prepared and ready, right? And then one of the girls, Sanaz, was like, you might think that, but a guy that sees you, so active on social media might just feel, or you're always doing this, you're always doing that, and you might feel like you're not putting that out there in a way that makes someone feel like, oh, she wants a relationship.
Yeah, it makes
like
you're busy.
You're busy, and I'm like, oh, is that what it is? Like, is that what it is? I remember being in the bathroom. I was literally doing my mascara, and I'm like, is that what this is? But they said so many other things too that I was like, oh my gosh, yes. But that specifically, I just felt like like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one.
But and that's what I'm talking about. It's like being able to talk to people that number one, you realize you're not the only one struggling with the whole dating thing and being busy, blah blah blah. And then having that other perspective, you're like, dang, I never thought of
it that way.
I never thought of that. And that happens to me all the time when I'm talking to friends. I'm like, dang, I would never have thought of it like that if you wouldn't have said that. And it completely gives you a whole paradigm shift.
And then they started like kind of like following up on that of like, what we post, how we post, and just things like that, things we're involved in. And I'm like, I feel like I have a pretty healthy lifestyle. I'm not really like, and I'm like
pretty wholesome.
I'm like, I'm a wife. I could be a wife. I could be a great
Proverbs 31. It's giving Proverbs.
And then they're like, you're putting too much pressure on it. Like maybe and I'm like, oh my God. I deleted all my dating apps. Okay, and I was like, not that I have anything against them, but I deleted all of them. I never went on one date having them. Well, go on.
No.
What?
No. I remember you guys, weren't you like posting, I don't know.
We went through it on Christmas on my TV.
With your family?
With my family.
I did that with my family.
And my grandma was so into it. She was like, date him. He has a horse. He has money. I'm like, Grandma, way to go for the heart, Grandma.
She has a pony?
I'm like, Grandma, what if it's not his? Then I'm just with this broke man. Like, no, thank you.
Have you seen the reels where it's like the girls, like you just hear like the car struggling to like turn on?
Yeah.
And the girls, like when you put you choose someone for the personality, not money, and they're just in the car and it's all struggling to turn on, you're like, that's what I'm not gonna do.
But But another thing, what they were saying was, people have all these expectations with dating, and you have all these standards, and it's not to say
Let's talk about this.
to not have
time.
No, listen.
Listen.
So
Linda.
I don't expect what I don't contribute. That's where I'm like, I'd rather be single because I know what I have to offer and what I bring to the table in a relationship is valuable, and a real man will like not only just acknowledge it, but appreciate it, reciprocate it, pursue it. Because that's kind of where I'm at, like the standstill. Like they acknowledge all these things. You're so family oriented. You work hard. You do this. You do that. But it's not you. I'm like, I'm slapping the next person that tells me that. If I hear that one more time, I'm like, you're getting slapped. Yeah. Like, I can't. And so she's like, and that's just what it is. But it's good. And it's not even to say that I don't have it fully together. But I do think in the dating world, I don't expect them to have everything together, but you need to have goals and kind of
a vision
and
some type of movement.
What did she say? She worded it so perfectly. It was Sanaz and Ashley, and they were basically saying, just to have expectations, and then it's like, oh, but you don't do any of this, but you expect all that. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. But why I related to the single girl so much was because she was like, no, but I know I do. And I'm like, the whole experience with my mom has shown me this new confidence where it's like, it's not overly confident, but it's just secure. I'm secure now.
Yeah, secure.
And I know.
Which is the best place to be.
I don't want to be overly confident. Yeah. I don't want to be that way, but I don't want to be like insecure either.
Yeah, because if you're overly secure, it's like that Miss Independent, like I don't need no man, but I like, they need me. It's like relax.
And also like, I know I'm independent. I know I can do it. But it's like long term, I don't want to do. I'm tired. I am tired. I would love for a man to come and take care of me.
This is so real because it's like same. Like I can be independent.
I know how to do it.
Because I have to be.
We ain't got no choice. Like this, it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I want to be able to just be like, not have to turn on my brain when I'm with my man. Like, I don't want to have to freaking overthink because I'm overstimulated already. I'm over like in like
you're busy.
And I don't want to be, So
I quite frankly don't want to be, babe.
Quite frankly, that's not the vibe I want to be on. So, but being vocal about that and like just understanding like what vibes we're giving off, like are we giving off Miss Independent vibes?
Yes, to be self-aware.
Yes, like are we giving off like that I want to actually be a housewife? Like I want to see, I want to work because I want to, not because I have to work.
Right.
Like shout out to my mans. If you could just like hold it together just so like I don't have to work in the future, that's the vibe I'm trying to be on.
I won't be mad at it.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'll be a bum, but that's the thing. It's like
that's what they talked about too.
Yeah, you can't be a bum. Like,
I'd be like, I want a 6'1", like six figure.
It don't match. And the thing is too, like you want a provider, you want this, you like a traditional man or whatever, if that's what you're wanting, but you don't know how to clean or cook or like you don't do nothing. Like I just provide nothing.
I'm
gonna say you just want later. Like I don't understand. You have to be able to bring something to the table
for sure.
And if you know what you bring to the table, it's like okay, be graceful and like gentle about it. Don't be so over like
well
feminist vibes because that's a whole nother
don't even get
that's
me started.
That's a whole lie we gave into, but yeah. So
or like back then I would be a feminist. Like the ability to choose what you want to do.
Well, third wave feminism is where it got weird.
Yeah, like now it's we're like okay, yes, we should have the same opportunities, vote. Pay all. I'm here for it, but and
this wave is like, oh, we don't need a man. It's like,
and that is what she called her friend out on. And she was like, I know you, so I know that you want a man, and you're not a modern day feminist, but to someone else who doesn't know that, and you're always working, you're always busy, you always have plans, you're doing this, you're doing that. it doesn't give
It doesn't, it's not giving.
And I'm all, am I not giving? I thought all I do would be giving. Like, and so I'm like realizing that now.
Yeah.
Where I'm like,
that's
okay,
a real awakening that
it was.
I'm also having too. It's like, like I want this, but I'm always like, go. It's like you're not giving
that.
You're not giving the vibe that you want to be taken care of.
And I'm glad that I had this, like I said, the past 6 years I've had 2 jobs. I'm about to go back to school. It's a lot. And it's taught me so much, like time management, money management, cook, clean, be responsible. And like, and my dad from a very young age has told me to just always take pride in the things that we have that God has blessed us with, because it's not ours. It's like, right. So I've learned all of these things. I know how to take care of a household now. And so learning all of that, but I think I needed to go through that in order to feel this
preparation.
Yeah, to really like prove to myself that. But now I'm like, I do want to always be myself, and like, because I am active on social media and I love the things that I'm doing. So like, but well, if there's any single people out there, like men of God, preferably man of God, not men, not men.
Easy. Calm down.
But that's just, it was like you said, it's just a wake up call where I'm like, it's just people's perception, and it's valid because I wouldn't think that either. And it's tough because I want to be myself and still do it, but I'm like, someone can take care of me.
Well, okay, 2 things you said. Number 1, stewardship, and the second thing is also, well, let me start with stewardship. Okay, so you said, like, now you know how to take care of a household, all the things. It's like a lot of the times, if not all the time, God puts us through seasons, I feel like, of testing. It's like, how are you taking care of what you already have? Like, you want a man to give you a house, but you're not even taking care of your car
or your room. Like,
or you want a new car, but the car you have now
is always dirty,
and there's no that oil change, sis. You know, it's like, so it's, I love that, taking care of what we already have. Cause why would, if Echo, like, I have so many toys from his birthday back in June that he has not touched because I'm slowly introducing him to him. Because if I just gave him all the toys, like, he's not going to take care of all of them, and he's not going to appreciate all of them, right? But, like, until I see that he's taking care of his...
It's like if they want a dog. If he said tomorrow, Mommy, I want a dog. Like, well, clean your room, babe.
You don't know how to take care of your... Like, you gotta wipe your own butt. Like, so it's like, same thing with God. It's like, he's like, I think he really does the stewardship testing. And then also the second thing is, my friend, we just had this conversation yesterday. She was like, so, like, what if your boyfriend told you, like, he didn't want you doing the podcast anymore, that he didn't wanted you off of, like, social media, like, doing, like, all the things that you do, like, would you do it?
Does he even really love you?
And I was like, well, this is a hard question, because number 1, he's my number 1 supporter.
Yeah,
I was like, and I would...
He been known that.
I'm like, he been known. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, now, if he were to tell me, like, hey, like, you don't need to work, but go do your passion, go do your ministry. Like, you don't need to work, I'll take care of, like, sure. Yeah. But I wouldn't date someone that wouldn't let me be me.
Exactly.
Like, it'd be different if I'm, like, traveling all the time for work, and, like, I'm trying to be super independent, and, like, I don't want him to, I feel like that'd be a little different, like, if it's just for money, but if he can take care of me, like, sure, like, I won't work. But I would never be with someone that would tell me, don't do the podcast. It's like, you're tripping. Like,
and I think that's important to stick to, because in past relationships, I felt we were happiest when one of us was sacrificing who we truly were for the other person. And I'm like, oh, this isn't sustainable, because, and it's not that you're a bad person or I'm a bad person. We're just not for each other.
Yeah. And that's okay.
And that's okay. And I wish you the best. And, like, I'm glad that it ended that way, because we deserve someone who loves all of us.
Right.
And, back to what you were saying was taking care of, like, what you already have. I think that's so important, because I remember my first car, and it, like, makes me so emotional, because I know it, like, took everything in my dad's power to give it to me. It was probably $500. I'm not kidding. It was like a 2001 Chevy Malibu. It was green, duct tape windows, no air. But the thing, like the shift gear thing, barely worked. I was, like, at risk all the time in it. But my dad was like, you better take care of this car.
Wow.
Like, and I did. And I always washed it. I kept it clean. And even like some of my friends didn't even want to ride in my car with me because it was like, friends. That's why Jandra always did.
Hey,
she
for real. Like,
real one. And it's so important because not even just in relationships, but just in life, because, then I moved on and got a car that ran better, still didn't have air. Then once I worked a little bit more, I have the car I have now. And it's like, I remember I went to get the car I have now, and he asked me, like, the car salesman asked me, like, what I was looking for. And I was like, air. That's all I care about, air. And he was like, okay, well, what else? I'm like, no, that's literally it. I just want it to have air. And you have a whole new appreciation for it. Hold on, wait.
We got to sit on this.
What?
This is so, people can probably miss this right now.
Oh, God.
Like, it's good that you're literally, your appreciation for the little things and not trying to get something that's so shiny and so extra, because it's like, what it feels like to take care of something, that you just appreciate the small things. And even that guy's probably like, well, you're tripping. Like, you don't want...
And at the time, I could afford something more. Right. I could. I know I could have, but I was
your awareness is different about what matters.
Yeah, of what was a priority to me. And I'm just so thankful for it. And it's not to say, everyone has their own opinions about, like, parenting. Like, why do you want your kids to struggle, blah, blah. But I don't see it that way.
No. I'm a testament, dude. Like, again, I love you, mom and dad. No discipline, and I basically got whatever I wanted without having to, like, work for it. And that bit me in the butt for so long. Up until this day, I'm still having to, like, it's harder for me because I'm having to rewire my whole brain of, like, dude, no, like, struggle. I wish I would have struggled a little bit more with my son. Dude, I don't even help him get up on a chair, like, straight up. Like, unless he's, like, really struggling, I'll give him a little push. But, like, I'm like training him, like, it's okay to struggle. And it's okay that if I'm just going to give you everything, you're not going to appreciate it. Because I know that, because that was me. Like, I didn't appreciate. Dude, my first car was an Audi. Like, what in the world? And it was like, why did I need an Audi? I did not need an Audi, and I didn't take care of it. And so, because to me, it was like, oh, well, I just have an Audi. And so, that's why I'm grateful. That's why the Lord is so gracious. Like, if he doesn't give me something, it's because I'm not ready for it. And I rest in that.
That is so good, because I think that's what I need to hear for, like, being in a relationship. Yeah. Like, I am okay. I'm secure. I know how to be alone. I don't pity myself for it. But I obviously I want a family, right, and I want all those things, and I want a traditional man. But I think he's used this time to really mold me into being that for someone else too. So I think that's great. And
dude, I made a reel. It was like when people say, like, oh, like, you're still single, it's just like, oh, it's gonna happen when you least expect it. And it's like, bro, like, when people say that, it's like, thanks, like, I appreciate it, like, it's like, people say, oh, it's so cliche. I posted that because I was literally feeling like that, because people were literally telling me, like God's timing.
Yeah, and they talk about that in the podcast that I was telling you about.
Your single season is a blessing. It's a gift. It's like, bruh, like, sure, it's true, but I'm like, in the moment, I'm like, dude, I don't want to hear that, because I want a marriage. Like, I want this. And then literally, like, not even a week later, I met the guy that I'm dating. Way. And I'm like, oh, it really does happen, like, when you least expect it. But
not trying to figure it out.
When you're not trying to figure it out, because I really, at that, like, in that season, I was like, all right, I'm letting go of, like, dating apps, like, or even looking around. Like, I'm just not. Like, because if God hasn't given it to me, then it's because I'm just not prepared for it. And even with this relationship, I'm just like, dang, dude, like, if I didn't go through the seasons that I went through, like, I wouldn't appreciate the small things with this guy. Like, the little things, like, things that I thought I needed, I don't even need in a man. Like, I want it's the small things. It's the character. It's the values. And you just appreciate that more versus fancy dinners. And because I've been with the millionaire. I've been where, like, you got all the things that the world would want, like a worldly mom or a woman would want. And I'm like, dude, none of that literally matters. So I'm grateful that I got to experience that, because now I'm like, not that my man's broke. No,
but like, it's not, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like, it's like what really, God really got to show me, kind of like the air. Like, what do you want in a man? It's like, I just want a man of character.
Right.
I don't need a Bentley. I don't need a Mercedes Benz. I just want a man that is going to respect me. It's going to honor me. All the things that the Bible talks about. Everything else is like a plus, but... Yeah.
And people have asked me too, like, oh, are you one of like the 666 girls, like 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 foot tall?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
yeah,
like, no, not at all. And I just want those things that matter. And I see so much of it in my dad. And
yeah, you have a great example.
I think that's great. And we do fall short, and that's okay. But I feel like someone that I definitely look up to have that expectation and not budge.
Yeah.
Like, why would I?
That part.
I'm not settling.
Yeah.
Because, like, and I know they're like half joking. They're like, bro, just settle. Go date ugly. They'll treat you right. I'm like, first of all, I don't even, like, that's not even on my radar.
Yeah.
Like, I want someone, like I said earlier, like, who's going to reciprocate what I contribute, and even a little bit more, because you are the man. And in that
100%, they should pursue. They're the head, not the tail. So and
it's not
bad.
Yeah. Well, even in that podcast, they were like, you expect a 10, but you're a 5. Yeah. Not looks wise, but just where you're at. Or you want them to have all of these things, but as long as they're like working towards something. Well, you don't have to have it all together. And I think people like, that's why you're single, because you want someone who's this. And I'm like, no, I don't, because I'm still in school. I'm still working 2 jobs. I'm still
building. Yeah, I'm still working
but I want to build with someone that I can rely on. And just like how you said earlier, you said something like, you want to be able to like turn your brain off. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's real.
I would love to do that. Yeah. I feel like my brain is never turned off. Like someone to plan something. Okay, we were just talking about this with my coworkers the other day. We were sitting at lunch and we're like, what's your love language? And like, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I mean, this isn't everything, but I'm like, oh my gosh, if someone brought me like a coffee, I would be like, oh my gosh, like it would like make my day. And they're like, Tanny, the bar is low, and I'm like, no, but it's like those things. Like obviously, it's more than that. But that's what I care about. Yes, I care about
little things.
The little things are just so meaningful to me.
I walked into my coffee being made the other day, and I was like. Like that, like to me was like him going on like one knee.
You're like, yes. I do.
No, literally, I was like, oh my gosh, like, or getting my car cleaned. I'm just like, what?
See, and you know what's crazy? Like, those are things my dad does for me. See? That's why I'm like, nope. Like my dad will, something as small as, wash my car when I'm out of town. He'll fill my tank and like, or he'll make me breakfast, make my coffee, whatever the case may be, all the little things. Yeah. Like, and he knows according to him, he thinks I don't do whites correctly. He'll do all my whites for me. Just things like that. Like so meaningful. And I just refuse to budge. Yeah, and it's not because I'm stubborn or I think I'm better. And it's not any of that.
It's just, okay, this goes back to the preparation. It's like when you know who you are and your values and what matters to you, it's like, and then people do that for you, or you're expecting those things, even not like in a prideful way, but it's like you said, like the standard is there of like my dad does these little things for me. That's what matters to me, and that's what I want. And that's part of the preparation season. If you didn't go through the preparation season, how do you even know what you want? For? Yeah, like, dude, the other day, how much does it suck when you don't have a rubber band, a hair tie, gosh. And you're like, dude, I need a hair tie. So tell me why this man bought like hair ties, and I'm like, dude, this is like buying me a Gucci bag. Like
literally,
I don't care for a Gucci bag, but this, I was like, dude, hey, I ordered you some hair ties. I'm like,
shut up. Again, I do. I really, really do.
People are like, dude, that bar is so
The bar is low.
hair ties and coffee. That's all we need. No,
Right.
but for real. But I'm just like, dude, it just makes me appreciate it because it's the little things. And God has really transformed my heart in like those little things matter. And not just relationships, but in day to day, like a freaking clean car. Even if you cleaned it yourself, like, I don't know.
One less thing you have to worry about. It's like the intention that goes behind it. They're doing it because they know that it's gonna be helpful to you. Yeah, and that's huge.
Acts of service, is that our love language?
It's for sure mine. I said that and quality time. You know, words of affirmation used to be a big one for me, but I think I've just, this sounds so bad, but I'm like been so disappointed with just the words. Where I'm like, bye. No, I mean, I want it all realistically, but like.
So we were taking the test a couple days ago, and he's like, this test is psycho. He had never heard of it. I was like, that's crazy.
You're like, well, today's the day, babe.
And he was like, this test is psycho. He's like, how could I choose between alone time with my partner and a back massage? Like, they're both equally important. I'm like, okay, it's not like
just pick men.
I'm like, dude, it's not that you're not gonna get the other one, but which one would you prefer?
Yeah,
but it's like, but it's true. Like, they all matter. It's just like, I think that certain seasons we need a little bit more. Like right now, I'm in a crazy season where there's a lot going on. That the acts of service is like, dude, oh my gosh. Like,
well, and also that's so important too because, like I said, words were kind of have drifted from me because I've been so disappointed.
Right.
But when I was taking care of my mom, my friends would always just check in on me and text me, or even if it wasn't a question, they were just like, I'm proud of you. Yeah. And that's all I needed at that point. Yeah. Because I didn't really want to like sit down and have a coffee date. Yeah, I didn't really care for that. So like it depends. And like just knowing when the right time is to do whatever action it is.
So knowing your love language and then also knowing how to communicate. Like
how are they gonna know if you're not like
and because someone could be buying you all this stuff and you're like, dude, I just want time with you. So this person is thinking like
they're good.
I'm loving you the crap out of you, dude. And you're like, dude,
you're ungrateful.
Yeah, for real. And you're over here like, dude, I literally just want to hang out with you. You know, so it comes down to self-awareness and being vocal about who you are and what your standards and all things are. But yeah, dude, this was a good. We gotta do part 2.
Okay, I'm down.
This was kind of fun, right? You forgot about the camera was here, huh?
Yeah,
it was cool.
It was cool. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I feel like it's gonna be a really good combo. I just want to give a quick shout out to the Rivas family. I know we've been talking about you guys the whole time, but if you guys are watching this, I love you guys and I'm grateful for the seeds. And Brittany, if you're watching this, I don't know why we did that. Why did we do that?
That was just like the thing. I feel just stupid nicknames. Well, I call this white girl. Like, there's no good nickname.
We had no imagination, but yeah, I'm just grateful for you guys, and let's do a part 2 because I feel like we could do the whole dating thing. There's so much more I want to talk about, but we can be here for 3 hours.
Oh yeah, the dating one is a big one because that's what I feel like I'm currently in too. It's like I'm trying to figure out what my next,
and it's a thing in our generation where it's like, just the dating scene is not easy.
It's not easy. My dad tells me all the time, he's like, your generation won't even compliment a girl. Yeah. Like, that's wild to me. Yeah. Or like, won't even approach anybody. You guys don't know how to interact.
Like, you have to ask, like, are you single? Are you single? Are you single, like,
are
talking
you lying?
To your ex?
Yeah.
Like, single? Are you single but still living with your ex? Are you single but married, going through a divorce? Like, dude, it's not.
Are you really going through a divorce?
Yeah, are you in a situation? Are you really going through a divorce? Are you just saying that? Mm-hmm. It's just like you have to navigate so much, and I'm just grateful for the Word of God because it gives us like the only true foundation in this ever moving culture and targets of like what it means to be in a relationship. It's like, no, dude, I'm just gonna go with what the Bible says because it's the only thing that's a firm foundation. But anyways, is there anything else you want to say to the camera viewers?
I mean, there's so much. I'm just, no matter what, I'm just really thankful for the foundation my parents have laid out for me and my siblings. I am so blessed and fortunate to have them in my life. I always say I won the family lottery and friends, but especially family, because I don't know what I would do without them. And they all teach me so much stuff. Like my dad teaches me to just take pride in the things that we have and to just work really hard.
Yeah.
And you know, when that's probably one of, and it's crazy because we talk about like, you know, not being a feminist or anything. And it's not even in that way. But when people tell me I have a good work ethic, it just means something so much deeper than what people. From your dad. It comes from my dad. Yeah. And, you know, I think he's done a really good job with teaching us to be independent, but also I know he wants a man to take care of me one day. Yeah. And I remember like, yeah, one of the nicest things he's ever told me was like, that I'm going to be a really good mom one day and a really good wife one day. Thank you. But and it means so much coming from him, you know, like it's my dad and my mom teaches me just to always be the bigger person, you know, and you'll never regret that. Like she's like, do you ever regret like rising above? Then just keep doing it.
I just love your mom because like I just remember her, just the way she talks is just very like, just like matter of fact.
No,
like,
very
blunt.
She don't got time to like sugarcoat anything. No, she's like, she teaches me that, you know, Ashley teaches me to give myself grace. And I think that's something she's currently going through right now. And it's good that she's taught me that so I can remind her in this season that she's currently going through. Brittany teaches me to be myself
to have fun.
To have fun, be myself, and to just not really care what people think, even, which is crazy because I think for a while she kind of did, but now we've like helped each other in that area of like, just be yourself. And that's another thing that Anthony has taught me. Anthony, not that I have favorites or anything, but like he's just taught me so much. I can have a whole thing about him, but just to always live life to the fullest. And I think all of those like characteristics like in our family really shape our family into what it is. Yeah. And why we're able to, you know, just persevere through a lot of things that come our way. Yeah. I'm so thankful. And I definitely like wouldn't change anything about our family. And people have asked me that, like, dude, like if you could wish for anything, I want nothing. No. Yeah. Someone told me the other day that I have a boring life. They were like, you need a more exciting life. Your life is boring. And I was like, what? I'm like, you're tripping. I love my life.
I feel like people just need to hush their mouth. Like the
and I think he was half joking, but I'm like, I love my life. No. Like I said earlier, I would have never thought I'd have this life. Yeah. Period. Like, and I get to share it with people I love. And I don't know. I just hope that impacts someone.
I mean, it's impacted me. Like I even for my future family, like I want to instill a lot of the things that literally, Diane, that you did, like the worship music, like I'm going to do that. Like it's actually crazy to think about like the ripple effect that it's going to have on generations. Like I am going to be playing worship music around the house. I am going to be making my kids and their friends go to church and
have like a safe place at your house.
And like, you know, it's just, it is impactful. And I pray that I want to have a big family like that, where it's like a bunch of siblings and then somebody else can be sitting down in a chair like, dude, Echo impacts me this way, you know, X, Y, and Z. So anyways, well, thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I had a great time. I love my family. I could talk about them all day, and I'm glad that
I can have your mom on here.
Oh God. Yeah, she needs to. We were joking about putting Brittany on The Bachelor, and we're like, just tell our testimony. People love trauma. We were like, you'll get picked. They love trauma. They'll like
eat it up. It's so true though.
You'll win, babe.
No, it's true though. They love it. I can see Brittany be on there. That'd be fun.
That girl is cutthroat. I don't know.
Is she?
Very, and I love that about her.
I kind of want to talk to her. I feel like I haven't talked to her. Well, I know I haven't talked to her in a long time, but it's just like, just to see, because I feel like you're low key the same, not in a bad way.
Yeah,
like the personality. I wonder if she's.
So I'm for sure at my job known to be the one that's like tough love, and with our students, a lot of people baby them a lot because they think they're unaware. I'm like, they're capable. Don't treat them like that. Yeah. They're capable of a lot.
Yeah.
And it's good to know what they struggle with, to be aware of it, and to help them push through that. But we're not gonna
don't put them at a lower standard.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where I think I'm at. Ashley's like, I don't know. I think I'm in the middle. Like Brittany's very like cutthroat, but like,
dude, it's
hilarious.
Actually, I can see that.
Ashley's more like soft spoken, and I'm kind of like in the middle.
Yeah. I can see that.
We're very different.
Very different. You guys are all very different, but that's what made it so much fun all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so thankful that you had me on. No one has ever asked me any of these questions, so I feel like this was like a therapy session.
I love that. Yay. Yeah, honestly, that's like one of my favorite parts about it is like a lot of times people don't talk about their testimony. I have never really sat and thought about like all that God has done. And so it's like, whoa, so I pray that, it does bless you. And then I know it's going to bless someone because the power of our testimony is so powerful. And
what you said earlier too, like, that's all I grew up with. Like, that's just all I know.
Yeah.
And so to me, it seems that way. But to other people, it's like, and then I look at my mom, I'm like, dude, people wouldn't even go through half the things you've gone through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, write a book.
No, for real, Diane, write a book. I could really see it. Like, in helping other mothers that are, because we can go on for hours, but I'm just like, dude, when I see parents dealing with their kids being sick, like the other day I was like looking at Echo and I'm like, because I had just seen on Instagram, like it was like a 3-year-old with cancer, and I'm like, dude, I can't even imagine going through that. Like looking at my son, knowing like I can't, and I don't want to, and I don't know how I would sleep at night. So it's just like to know, for me to personally know someone that's done it multiple times. And then deal it with herself. And like
she just lost her mom. And it's just, it's
like a Job, dude. It's like, so anyways, love you guys. Thank you for being on here. Love you. And hopefully we get to do more of this.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay. Yay, bye. We can sit here for hours. if we don't turn these mics, if we don't just shut up. Oh my God.
That's funny. It was so good though.